We got the winner of the Kendrick, Lamar, and Drake diss, you know?
Well, I think it's the reason why so many people are uncomfortable with Dr. Umar because, so the thing about Drake is he's a Jewish Canadian biracial man that went against a black American from Compton. Because the question I got for everybody that's listening is like, what culture do you want to see? Push past those feelings and he think about his vision. He think about his will, his plan, his ideas and shit. He execute. That's man.
If it's a problem, it's a solution.
That's not acceptable for men to do.
I'm building, I'm writing down my goals, and I'm executing, I'm on my mission, tunnel vision.
I like the setting of man to man. Man, it's just like a safe space to just speak freely upon everything.
Like, we talk like men. Peace, family. Welcome back to the Man to Man podcast where we talk ass guys. I'm your host, Steve Jones, and I'm here with the good brother,
19 Keys. What's happening?
First of all,
peace
happy
to the
belated
gods.
birthday again to you.
Bro,
you know?
I appreciate it,
peace
man.
to
It's
the
tourist
God.
season. You know, forget a birthday. We just go with the whole season. Tourist season. That's what we gonna start doing.
Just doing the whole
yeah,
season.
just go with the season. You feel me?
That
like,
sounds about right to me.
Yeah, like I don't get the whole just one day. Let's just go with the season. It's tourist season.
Yeah. Is it too much to just celebrate in one day, huh? There's too much shit to do, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. It's too much. Like, why force me to just celebrate one day? Nah, this is the season, man. And I feel like everybody got different seasons, and this is like really one of them beautiful seasons for me. It's spring. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the New Year's, if you want to call it that. And tourist season, man, it's when it's people be on their bullshit. And here we are in culture, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I had a good time. It was all just for me this year, you know, making it to a year that some people don't make it to.
Facts.
You know, making it to past your Christ year. And this is about
like,
spiritual connectedness.
You like 43?
Nah, I'm 19, brother, forever. You know what I'm saying? I age backwards. But, you know, age is about attitude, growth, and experience.
Yeah.
We talked about attitude before. You know, it shapes your position and your disposition in life, the way you see, view, look at things, the way you approach things. And, you know, if you focus on growth, which most people focus on significance, so they get it wrong. People focus on significance, right? They want to be the one, so they don't know how to fit in and they don't develop the skills to grow. You focus on growth, you focus on contribution, right? So you want to develop the skills so that you can add to, so it creates this cycle of constant growth. And so most people in society are all focused on significance. Everybody wants to be somebody, but they're not becoming better at being somebody. So, and then experience, of course, you know, is what you actually go through. Like, what are my real experiences? Because that shapes my character. You feel me? Like who I actually am, you know, and my memories and the stories that I tell myself. So, you know, as I gain experience in life and I go through growth and I keep maintaining a good attitude, I should be going at higher levels, peak. So for me, that's my age. So when you look at a man, you can tell like what age you at. I can tell your attitude towards life. I can tell your position of growth. You feel me? I can tell by your experiences, not by the number of cycles that the sun has went through the earth, like past the earth. That don't make no sense.
What you do for your birthday?
You know, we hit the boat, you know, did some gambling. No. I just finished out my Jesus year. It's a beautiful thing, especially don't make it with your mind, body, and soul intact.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
He always gonna be real because he got principles and he got morals. He can't do nothing but respect that.
They gon' let you disrespect Pop, nigga? I think that Oakland show gon' be your last stop, nigga. They cold foul. I don't know why you still pretending. What is the owl? Bird niggas and bird bitches.
And what I represent is a new culture. So when you ask me whose side I'm on God's side. We hit the boat. We got a boat out on the marina, man. Just got a private chef, you know, invited some friends, some family members. You know, some people flew in, you know, played some spades, kicked it, just enjoyed a peaceful time with, you know, kicking knowledge with some folks, had people over the house, had the fire.
You was playing spades?
Yeah, man, you know, but you know, I think, you know,
yeah, I'm over asking them these questions like I wasn't know. They trying to call me out on the spades table. Come on, man.
Come on, you got lucky.
No,
But you
I
know,
don't
you
even
got
believe
that.
in luck.
You got that.
I got every
You
game.
got that. You got that.
Every
You
game.
got that.
Every
You got that.
game,
That's
though.
not even important, man. That's sports and play. I don't even focus on that.
You brought it up. But let's
don't
get
even
it though.
focus on all that.
So we gonna stick to the play anyway, cause like it was a lot of, like you said, bullshit going on this tourist season.
Yeah.
And we got the winner of the Kendrick Lamar and Drake diss, you know?
Oh yeah.
And you know, it went to K-Dot 100%. And I was team Drake at first, I ain't gonna lie. But then, I don't know, man, Kendrick just started coming out the woodwork, you know, I had to switch sides, I ain't gonna even lie, you know? But I still think Drake got a better catalog. For sure.
I don't know what that got to do with the conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
That's an
because
excuse.
they was going with the diss record. We're gonna stick to diss records though. He definitely lost 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, that's all we need to focus on. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like two boxers get in the ring, one get knocked out, and they'll be like, but he got a better record. That ain't got nothing to do with this fight. Nothing. It actually makes this fight more impressive that I won. You know what I'm saying? They don't take away, it adds to. When you fight the best and the greatest, right? And you win against them, now you cemented in that history because you fought the best there is.
Yeah.
Like Kendrick could, at this point, like we just seen that he can dismantle probably any opponent that you put in front of him.
Yeah.
But that one gave him no stripes. And people, I heard Rashad and them saying that, you know, Drake basically he had the most to lose. But so did Kendrick. Because if Kendrick would have lost this, right, he would have lost his career as well. He wouldn't have been that boogeyman. He would have been that lyrical assassin, right? People wouldn't have went back and listened to his songs. It wouldn't have been the same. You feel me? So it's one of those things in hip hop as a culture. And, you know, and I'm looking on the internet and the landscape, and there's so much content created around this. It's crazy. I think what it was is Drake did not understand strategy in the current times as much as Kendrick was in tune with them.
Yeah.
Right? Kendrick was completely in tune with the culture and the times that we're living in. And what I seen was Drake had tactics, right, that normally work. And because he in this high position and the people around him that curated the information and tell him this is the best way to go about it, they had lacked a certain understanding of context of present day times.
Yeah.
So they were operating with tactics without strategy. You feel me? Where Kendrick Lamar not only had a strategy, he had a campaign. Right? He ran a campaign against Drake. So even when Drake tried to become strategic, it was not going to beat this man's campaign. Right? He repeated certain words over and over. That's how you know a person got a campaign. They're rallying for something. He created a chant. You feel me? He focused squarely on his opponent. And he won over what? His focus was winning over the people. Right? And that was something that Drake didn't understand because he believed he already had the people. He spoke as if he already had the culture. And there was something that he didn't understand, that when you have this cultural dominance, right, in this thing called hip hop, which is founding principles, come back to knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And you have somebody who represents that purely in the way that they approach music, it's going to be very hard to beat that person if you're not adding that into the match. So he was at a disadvantage because Drake or Kendrick is a cultural icon, right? And what we think about as a black man making music and a staple as a black man making music. He gave us iconography and he gave us images and he gave us events and he created all of these movements. And that was tied back to what his actual culture was, which is from being a black American in America.
All right, now speaking of being a black American in America, right? Kendrick said something that was, you know, that was real important.
Yeah.
He made a verse where he was talking to Drake's son. And he say, I don't know if your father ever told you, but you a black man. How important is it for, I want to say, what can I say instead of saying mulatto real quick?
You can say mulatto, biracial.
Biracial, well, not, you know, mixed kids.
You know, I ain't got no
What about them, you know, not understanding the culture because they don't deal with that side of the family and they identify with the white side of the family? You know?
I think it's the reason why so many people are uncomfortable with Dr. Umar because, you know, he forces you to pick a side. You know, of course, people don't want the Malcolm X. People don't want the Farrakhan. People don't want that strong consciousness to exist because it holds you accountable, right, to standards that you don't want to keep, right? You want to go make your little mixed babies. right? That's what people do. They fetishize, they make them, right? Sometimes by accident, right? It was just a night of lust, you feel me? And then it became what it was. And so, but the problem a lot of times with that is you change your psyche because of, your lifestyle, right? You don't keep the same values. So you be like, well, I have my son and I have my daughter now. So therefore I'm going to adapt, right? Instead of saying that, even though you may have a mixed woman or white woman, whatever it may be, doesn't mean, right, that you cannot still teach this child the values and raise them like a black child should be raised, right? With all of the consciousness and the strength, right, that you would put into it as if you had a full black child.
Now, this the thing though, right? Raising up a biracial child.
I think.
What if you do all of that, right? You instill all of those, trying to get them to identify as being black, but they grow up and choose to do the opposite.
That's very hard. I don't see too many children.
Because you said that some people they date outside the race and whatnot and create these biracial babies and they have to adapt. But what do you actually mean the word adapt, or now that they getting more?
I mean, they
aware?
assimilate. I mean, the parents assimilate their mindset to say that, let me now change the way I'm going to approach this. I want to be more, for the lack of better terms, understanding about, and more
that's what I was going to
diverse with the way that you go about things, right? You're not going to be in that household. The black man is God, right? You're not going to do that.
Right.
And you're going to now have to justify your own consciousness, right? And there's certain things that you're now going to change as far as your behavior. And we have a more mixed society that we're going to, right? That's just a fact. So, a lot of the rules of engagement start to change when you're raising that child. You're not raising this as just a black child. You're raising this as a mixed child. So the thing about Drake is he's a Jewish Canadian biracial man that went against a black American from Compton, right? If I just give you that description, and I ask you who's going to win, you automatically go think the black American from Compton is going to win, especially if hip hop is not approached as a musical genre. It's approached as a sport. Right? So when you approach it as a sport and I describe these two people, I'm going to think that the person that is from where the sport was founded is going to win. Right? Even if there's, a lot of people call Drake a visitor because he's from Canada. So it's more so not the fact that he's not a black American, or it's more so the fact that not that he's half black, but his father is black, right? Because even him being Jewish, you have to then look at, I heard Red Pill talking about, as Jewish, they look at their mother's lineage and take on her ethnicity, right? So, there's a video that was saying, oh, your mother's Jewish, so you're a real Jew, right? So that's different how black people look at ethnicity or race. We say if your father is, right, we gonna go with your your patriarchal lineage, right? So you have to also have that context and understanding, because you can be judging a person from your viewpoint, right? But how do they judge themselves is the question. And because we've never gotten that breakdown from Drake himself, it's all left up to assume. But if we look at ethnically in your culture, if ethnically, right, then you judge your mother's lineage based on whose ethnic background that you take, then I'm going to assume that you're following through with that, especially if you grew up, right, with the theology of, everything that he grew up with in them Jewish schools and ministry and things of that nature. And he speaks that he's black and Jewish. And, by Jewish, even though his mother is white, right, Canadian, right, but she's Jewish by, faith. So, you're recognizing that you're black, but then you're putting on what your faith is, right? And Jewish is your culture, because if black is your race, then Jewish is your culture, right? When you say I'm Jewish. So then that's why, people will say you are not a part of this thing. We've never had a full black rapper from America that says I am a Jewish, and we see that play out, right? As far as what is his ethnic values in a way that he communicates in his music, right? And does this even fit culturally? You know what I'm saying? With us. So we just haven't seen that being banged. If you're gonna jump into Crownz Society, you're saying that I represent power, I represent knowledge of self.
Stepping in the name of drip, get ready with me. Stepping in the name of drip, get ready.
I wear the crown to just symbolize, like, I know who I am, I know why I'm here, I know my purpose.
It's abundance, it's royalty, it's prosperity, it's energy.
Put in.
Yeah.
I gotta walk with my head held high because you gotta see this and you gotta see this.
I believe that if anybody wants to be able to protect their mind and be able to think freely, you gotta get Crownz Society today, man.
Neo after the blue pill, the color palette's all black. James Bond mixed with Malcolm X in my Che Guevara era.
But for me, right, I had to reach out to the legendary battle rapper B Magic. I called him because, you know, that's what they do. They in the URL battle rapping and they known for it. So I had to get his opinion on it. He said he was giving it to, although he got a Drake cosign, he got to get a battle to Kendrick. He said because Kendrick, he sat down and gave you an intervention. He said this, if you take Drake out of this record, and you can just play this for any family member and shit. Now, he brought up, you know what I'm saying, conversations that need to be had, you know, something that's timeless, you know, and I go back to Drake. What he did was he tried to do some trendy shit. Kendrick put out something that was timeless because of the subject matter. Now, do you think that was the best strategic thing that happened in his whole career?
For whose whole career?
Kendrick's.
I mean, you know, Kendrick's career is a career that constantly grows. I think his career is like a story that it tells. It's kind of like an author putting out books.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to put out a book, the same kind of book each time, right? If you look at like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad book series, right? He put out How to Eat to Live, Volume 1 and 2, right? Then you got Message to the Black Man, you got Our Savior Has Arrived, you have Fall of America, you have Theology of Time, right? This is a catalog, right? And this catalog, it represents the growth as well. So when I look at Kendrick, I'm looking at his catalog as a series of things that also represent his growth. So every time you look at someone, you should be asking, like, are they growing? And the thing about Drake is that's where he attacked him. He attacked him as, are you growing? Because he said, it's the boy, but I ain't seen the man yet. And so he attacked him from a growth perspective. And when he sat down and had that conversation with him, it was almost as if he was attacking his fan base. So what it was stripping his fan base, right? Because it was, as you're listening, the reason that it hit so hard, because you was like, oh, if I defend this, then I'm defending values that I'm also connected to. So then it make you want to distance yourself from it. Like, oh no, I'm on this side, right? I talked about this earlier, like personal branding. You pick your enemy. Kendrick doesn't have to tell you what he's for. He tells you what he's against. And the way you connect with an audience is telling them what you're against. So when he's speaking to Drake's core audience, he's saying, this is what I'm against, right? Now, if you against this as well, then you with me. If you're not against this, then you with him. And his audience had to sit down, and it made them do a self-examination. And what you're seeing as I'm watching a lot of these videos was them like, oh, wait a minute. He's right. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. He's attacking my values, saying that if I'm cool with this guy. Now, it really went to a dangerous place as far as the propaganda, and I'll call it propaganda just as far as the way that they went about, putting out the hit pieces in the form of diss records. But you have to understand the way strategy is played out, right? This was approached as a war, right? And I believe at the beginning, both Kendrick and Drake knew this was a war. But I just don't think Drake was ever prepared to win this war the way he thought he was going to win, right? Because
he thought he was going to win off just popularity alone, you know?
And every single thing that Kendrick did, Drake played into his hands. So at no point in time was Kendrick being reactive or defensive, right? And that's why he ultimately won, because he was never on the side of having to react to something or defend something. Even when Drake made his accusations, he never went into a defensive corner. Why? Because you shift the narrative for everybody to talk about this instead of continue to push your campaign, which gets you to win, right? So we do that all the time. It's called deflection, right? In debating, you try to deflect things. In presidential debates, instead of we talking about this, you're deflecting and bringing it over here. And I think Kendrick did a masterful campaign of keeping his narrative and not even having to address in order to win. And that's just purely from
after the conclusion of all of this confusion. Do you think this smear campaign on either side is gonna slow down their career. Either one of their careers. Because I don't see it happening. I think Drake's still gonna be considered at the top, still gonna put out more vibes, and vice versa. Kendrick's still gonna be good in his lane as well. You know, I don't think it's gonna slow nothing down for either side. It's kind of like it's kind of like Fox and Tubi. We know Fox is racist.
Well,
but our black people still deal with Tubi.
This is why, having a great brand is important.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, here's the thing, though. I was looking to the video where the high school teacher was saying that her high school changed from being a Drake high school to a Kendrick one, overnight almost. She went in there and all the kids was playing Kendrick. They was asking to play Kendrick. They was asking to dissect Kendrick lyrics when usually that's Drake.
Yeah.
And it got me to an even deeper, interesting conversation about like culture, right? Because she was like, they usually want to have some rich baby daddy on. And instead they want Kendrick. They may want to go back and dissect To Pimp a Butterfly. And it's like, damn, as a culture, like what do we want the children to be listening to? So we don't even think about it as that deep. Like, but in middle schools and in public schools, like we listen to music. Whether we knew it or not, that had a negative effect on us. Yeah. It had effect on how we view women. Had effect on how our bravado that we had in streets. Had an effect on our drug choices. You know what I mean? It have multiple effects. So you got to think of like as a parent, if you like, all right, what would I want them playing? What would I want my children frequency to be on, Kendrick or Drake? I would imagine if you're a good parent, you're going to be like, oh, I want them to be on that Kendrick. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I believe that was ultimately what Kendrick was attacking, was like, you're not a good steward of the culture. Yes, you win, right? Because corporate, product-wise, you put out a lot of product. You want this fame. You want to keep profits, right? You're a capitalist in true form of what the industry and the business is. And he's saying, I'm a peers for what hip-hop, right, and music is. So what Drake is taking a hit with numbers and brand right now. And so he's still on the defensive because there's so much narrative around his brand. It's like with Diddy. Diddy has not been served any papers to actually go into court and been locked up. There's no handcuffs that have been slammed on him. But this is the worst time for Drake to be. The worst time because we're at this time where society don't care about truth, right? Narrative is more important. What sounds, right? What gets the people going.
What got more shock value.
And how did that start? Of course, we go back to Cat Williams.
He kicked it off, and it's still going on.
Shannon Sharp has the most viewed YouTube video of any interview of all time, right? Now, I got 9+ million views, right? So right now, he like Drake, and I'm like Kendrick. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man.
Real talk with the high-level conversations.
Man.
Is it not?
Man. Go ahead,
is it not, though?
Nah,
Is it not?
It's actually the man to man. So.
No. High-level conversations is the biggest shit in the culture. 100%.
Nah, for real. For the culture, all right, I'll give you that.
No, for the world.
For the world?
For the world, Craig.
Let's get it.
So, here's the thing. It's easy to sell negativity. Easy. And that's the thing that people were saying. Shannon Sharp said, I'm not a journalist. He's an entertainer. Yeah. This is how Drake is. He like, I'm not some conscious, you know what I mean? Like peers, like he's saying, I'm an entertainer. I'm just here to make money and sell and entertain people. That's what Drake is. And what is mine? Mine is like, no, we go do something that's good, that's impactful, that's informational, educational, like that's for the culture. You feel me? So no, you might not have the same numbers, but does that represent whether the content is better? Hell no. Numbers do not. And this is the facade that people do, because that's like saying a man with money. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, somehow that represents his talent or skill as far as like his character. And it has nothing to do with such a thing. So when Cat Williams went up there and he did that, what happened was he showed people that negativity. At first, a lot of times people see negativity as like, man, you go up there, ain't nobody gonna want to hear that. You can't just go up there and dog people. They gonna call you a hater. He got rewarded for it. He won. So when you go back to understanding how behavior is primed, it's through a reward or punishment. When people see a certain behavior get you a reward, they copy that behavior, right? If you study tokenomics, this is how it works. So when they see that was rewarded, they say, oh, what did everybody want to do? Go on there to get rewarded. This is how schools work, right? This came from B.F. Skinner when he talked about priming society. and controlling society based on reward or punishment. So when mine gets the views, look, everybody see that it's rewarded like, damn, Keys is up. So what they want to do, they want to copy that, right? Then they see Shannon Sharp's do it, so they start copying that because it got a bigger reward, right? This is the way it works. Everybody see Drake, they put out the Drake song, gets a reward, you get the money. I'm going to do that. People are swayed, but it's hard to get them going the right direction and easy to get them going to the wrong. So now that society is seeing Kendrick being rewarded, right? For going against the commercialization of hip hop, right? Now there's going to be more people that want that reward as well. You know what I'm saying? So this is where like Drake is kind of like, I forgot who I heard say this, but he's like the embodiment, right? Of the commercialization of hip hop, right? As a person, right? But, and at the same time, there's a bit unfair because it's not like Drake music incites violence. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, you know what I mean? His music is about like lean and drug use and drilling. Like there's plenty of categories of niggas who make music like that that's way more detrimental than we can ever say. But Drake music does pacify and Kendrick does electrify. We know that. People literally want to hear Drake because they want a club record. They want something they don't want to think. They just want a vibe. And Kendrick gives you something where you're like, man, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to have to think. I don't want to think about life, reality, social, right? That's a problem though. And we celebrate that, but we don't know that that's a terrible thing.
We in the club, you talk about, look inside of your soul and you can find glow. Now that's a vibe.
That's
though.
A good thing.
That's a vibe though.
I mean, but look
we
at us
don't
though.
hear that in the club right now.
We don't, but that's the problem though. Look at black people in America. We a fucking joke when it comes to statistics. And then we complain about somebody that try to help us and then we laugh at them like that shit bad. Like nobody, you know what I mean? Like niggas that live for the club should not be curating culture. I just want to, like, you should never even have a say-so on what the frequency of culture should be. And that frequency is not dictated even by that opinion. It's dictated by the guys in the corporate seats who we never even see. So, and at the same time, this fight ain't really Drake and Kendrick. It's like, it's the corporate people that we never talk about. It's the people that's behind the music that put the money into the pacification of a society and the demoralization of society. Yeah. You feel me? But I look at it like people was like, man, this beef, it goes this. I don't even think, first of all, ain't no LA guys, no West Coast dudes getting in Canada with no records. And they ain't getting in there shooting up no Drake. I don't think none of that's happening. Yeah, hell. You can't even get in Canada with no you affiliate.
I couldn't even go to Canada when he was on tour.
Stop the cap on that. You feel me?
That's
but
crazy.
It's the reality that if you really, and I seen Questlove talking about nobody wins, hip hop is dead. And it's like, bro, if we gonna start like, don't make this what killed hip hop, because it definitely didn't. But if the drill rap, if the sexy red rap is the I'm gonna eat your ass rap, you know what I mean? If I'm gonna kill you, murder you, if that ain't killing hip hop and you ain't speaking up during that time, then your opinion is null and void to me.
I seen, I want to say, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. He say the winner of it all was J. Cole.
Yeah, understandably.
And I 100% agree with that. At first, I was kind of, I know on a couple episodes, I had said like, man, he was scared. He backed out. He fucked up his career. But as I seen him play out now, he made the most strategic move in the entire war. Because I don't think J. Cole would have been able to keep up. And he definitely would have smeared his whole brand. 100%.
Yeah, I think J. Cole, respect to J. Cole.
Yeah.
I said it early, before he even jumped out of this. I said I never wanted to see Cole and Kendrick go at each other.
But he still eliminated himself as being in the big three, for sure.
I mean, we'll see. I don't think he's eliminated per se. I think, like I said, it was never going to be good between Drake and Cole. Or Cole and Kendrick. Yeah. Who wants to see that? That's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
You're fighting, when you're talking about Drake and Kendrick, they represent a spectrum. You feel me? And here's the thing why so many people went against Drake. Every ruler is a favorite, right? And it's almost that thing when you're a big brand, you can be a big brand like Nike and write somebody a check, right? But that doesn't mean that, and I'm not particularly voicing this as a stated opinion of mine all the way, but that doesn't mean that like, you don't still see them as a culture vulture. Like, this is just a fact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I know people from straight sources that, look at Gary Vee as a culture vulture, even though they learn from him. You know what I mean? Even though they sit and do shows or podcasts with him. And I'm talking about people like who we really respect. But they still look at him as a culture vulture. So guess what? If somebody from our culture was to call him out that we respect, who they gonna be behind? That person. Cause they like, man, really he is. But you know how it is in America. You know how it is in America where black men don't really state what they really mean from fear of the blackballing, retaliation, right? The punishment. This is why we don't and do certain behaviors. Y'all act like we got a very courageous culture of black men just speaking out, right? Every time we find something that is culture vulture or something that is against us, like I know the rap guys, they hit me like, bro, man, so-and-so, they vultures, but we just be moving, you know what I mean? Because we try to use things strategically, not about Drake, but I'm talking about like other white guys that's in the culture, right? That do certain things that people do business with or take pictures with or whatever. That doesn't, and people be like, why didn't they say anything? Because a lot of times when people say stuff and they got the favor of the crowd, it goes on deaf ears. Like, look at all the people that's saying something now because Kendrick created, or not just Kendrick, but, you know what I mean? Future, Metro, Kendrick, whoever, they created a narrative to where it's okay. Because when you go against the crowd, it's a mob mentality that goes against you. You know what I'm saying? So it's more dangerous to go against the crowd, and now your livelihood is at stake. Now when you disappear and nobody knows you and you can't take care of your family, nobody cares that you stood up and spoke a truth. So when speaking a truth is not rewarded, nobody speaks that truth unless they're ready to sacrifice everything because the people won't stand behind them. So with Drake, he has been, first of all, he's talented, he's skilled. I think that the narratives right now that are being played at him are unfortunate in the sense that, you know, I don't like the thing when people switch overnight. I think that that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But
that's the
we talked
disconnect
about
he
this
got
before though, right?
That's the disconnect that Drake got. He don't, man, what he should know, like if he tapped into his black side, he know black people real wishy-washy.
Not even just that. Black people have stuff in the back of our head that we don't always publicly speak on and think on. And what he did was Kendrick tapped onto that what was in the back of our heads. Stuff that we forget. Sometimes you can have somebody and then he takes you back and reminds you like, bro, remember that feeling you had when you first seen him? Remember when he did this and how you was feeling about that? Cause now it's like things that when people will call you a culture vulture for, he became celebrated for. And everybody didn't have a feeling that this was his talent or skill. So like when he was jumping into all these styles, people was like, man, that ain't his style. Like, what he doing? Like, he did get people to go. There was people that was saying that, but the big names never said it. So it never became popularized. And then people accepted it as a business thing, but they never really respected it. Being accepted and being respected are two different things, right? You can be tolerated and not respected. So this is what had happened with Drake is that he was tolerated. And a lot of the moves that he was doing, right, were not respected by a lot of people, and they never had a platform to say that because they didn't have the platform, right, to sway opinion, and they weighed their options on that. And when Meek Mills did it, he lost. So what it created was a fear. Meek Mill called him a culture vulture in his first diss, and it created a fear that if anybody else tries that, I'm gonna end your career too. So guess what? Nobody did that until Pusha T did. He put it on the line. He called him the same thing. He won, but Pusha T didn't have the platform to spin the whole entire narrative into something different, right? That one kind of diffused. So what you was doing is you were seeing these wounds being open, and Kendrick Lamar finally gashed the wound open. You feel me? So I think that, you know, culture sometimes have to go through, and where we at in time is that you got the lost cycles. We went through the birthing of hip hop, right? You went through the growth. We just talked about the last 50 years of hip hop and the growth cycle of hip hop has been as big as it is. But what was the conversation? The conversation has been about the decline of hip hop. Right? And now what comes after the decline is renewal. So I believe that what we're going through is we're going through a renewal phase of hip hop. And you can't say that this beef is not necessary. Look at somebody like D1 and he calls out the industry, right? And we love that. Right? He even raps about it. We love that. right? Just because they not going back and forth, it's still similar to the same thing, just on a bigger stage. We looking at this as a competition, but it's really, right? It's a war for the culture. And so this renewal phase is necessary because the question I got for everybody that's listening is like, what culture do you want to see? What world do you even want to see? And we don't think about that. We just take what we're being fed, right? Like if you really had the option, like what is our ideal culture? What is our ideal world? If we don't spend any time on that, we don't know. We just taking what we're given, right? And so a lot of us don't even have enough information and enough time to even imagine better worlds. And that's because hip hop is not aspirational as far as mainstream of reflecting, this is what could be. No, we talk about what is at the lowest common denominator.
Now, when you say that hip hop is on the incline, right? And what you would like to see or want to see or we should see, compared it to these people who running these big companies are putting the plants out, putting the different plants out. 'Cause we get a new plant every week now. How aware should people be of the plants? And how could they become aware of those plants?
I think for the most part, when you see somebody, you can tell who got a plant. You see somebody and automatically, without going through those phases, right, of building a brand, being recognized, things of that nature, they get everybody's cosign immediately. Yeah. All of a sudden, they in places that even some artists own right now couldn't get. So what is that? That's usually you probably looking at a company, right, that has resources to all of these people, right? They probably have some sort of stock or equity, all right, in this person, career or catalog or whatever. So they're incentivized to be like, yeah, I'm getting them that cosign. How you know? You see people who don't even rock with each other cosigning somebody, right? But it's business. Well, okay, if I got a little something in this, then I don't mind. I ain't got to rap on their stuff. I ain't got to do nothing but just take a picture with them and cosign them. That's enough. I follow them, comment on their stuff. That's enough, right? They're being planted, right? Because remember, instead, we used to have A&Rs. You would go through artist development, right? Now, this is their new artist development, right? It doesn't mean, and at the same time, I think what people look at plants as the negative things because they believe that they're being forced on them and force-fed by a machine. And not that this is the most talented artist, but this is the chosen artist. Yeah. So it's basically what the gatekeepers have decided is the new sound, is the new person you're going to listen to, and they build them a brand. So when they're building them the brand, they're thinking about all of those metrics to get into the psychology of the people. So you feel like this is being forced on you, that they're utilizing this science and they're hacking, right? What is required as far as the colors, the brand, the sound, the story, and they're building this person up in your mind so that it can be accepted and they can push them on you. And then eventually you stop fighting them and all of a sudden you start liking them, right? When you first heard them, that's your true feeling. When you first hear somebody and you're like, man, this is whack. That's your true feeling. What happens to that standard? It goes lower and lower and lower and lower. You stop fighting and then it becomes accepted. And then you're like, man, turn that up. I ain't gonna lie, I kind of vibe to this now. Yeah. That's you being mind controlled. You know what I'm saying? We think that's all that is. You were manipulated. They found a clever way to get you to do what they wanted to. And this is the direction you went to. So I think that I see somebody was saying like, yo, if Drake or Kendrick, since he wins, can he hold the same space that Kendrick has as far as like giving us the hit, putting the artist on, doing this? And I'm like, the problem is we think we need that. We become so accustomed to like a master that we're asking who will be our next master. Kendrick said in the last, he said, I'm not your savior. He said, Cole is not your savior. Future is not your savior. And that's the problem with people, but most people don't know is most people want to be led. So this is why they're asking who go curate the sound. Like, bro, let the market decide. How about you actually go and listen to somebody that you like and decide it from there? But that's why you can't blame a lot of the brands because people ask for it, then they give it to them, right? It's the McDonald's and the Burger Kings don't just change up the menu. When they seen that people was like, oh, they want to see more vegan options and, you know, they start changing up the word. The people want us to say instead of fried, right, we gonna say grilled. You know what I'm saying? Or we gonna say crispy rather, right? Oh, they want vegan food, then we gonna serve some vegan food, right? But it ain't gotta be healthy, but the people don't care. They're not trying to go against the crowd. They understand this what the crowd want, we gonna serve them what the crowd wants. And the industry is like the fast food, right? They're just gonna serve you what you want. You don't even wanna wait, you just want stuff fast. In this battle, all we wanted was fast records. Fast food. What's the difference? Fast consumption. I talked about this last year on InvestFest.
Yeah.
Fast consumption culture is killing us because we don't even digest things properly, and we definitely don't digest things that's good for us. Nah, I was seriously up all night. You know what I mean? I took a couple of drops of this, and I think I took it too late, right? I took it probably around like 5 o'clock. I didn't think it was gonna keep me up to like 2, 3 o'clock. But it was good though, because I was doing hella work. Like I was knocking it out because I had to do a lot of stuff on the back end for the show. But the disclaimer on this one, don't take this if you want to goddamn be focused. If you don't want to be focused all day long, just knocking it out with no distractions. Because my mind was calm. I had my system ready to go. I was energized. And I was just boom, 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 boom. And once I got in that flow, I couldn't be distracted nor slanted nor taken off. You feel me? That supermind really have you up there going. It's like Viagra for the brain. It had me definitely mentally up all night, for sure. Because it almost got to a point where it felt like I couldn't tell when I was supposed to go to sleep because I didn't get no drowsiness. But then I realized that once I got into bed, you know, I was able to naturally just fall into a sleep. So it was still good. It wasn't one of the ones that just, you know, had me with insomnia. It would just basically tell me when you want to go to sleep, you can. But beyond that, that supermind had me working. Yeah, this my fix. I don't need nothing else for real.
Now, speaking of digest and food or whatnot, I seen that Florida has banned lab meat.
Thank God. DeSantos against Monsantos is wild.
Now you know the reason is they say they want to support and protect Florida's local farmers and ranchers from the competition of lab grown meat. You know, you think that's true, or you think it might be another reason? The meat, they originally came out with the lab grown meat to avoid the slaughter of the animal and just use the cells from it and grow it or whatnot.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But a farmer, like, let's say you just move to Florida, you know, you got your ranch, you got the yard.
Yeah, I think he's protecting. You know? I haven't read the story, but if I'm going off face value.
Yeah, I can't be competing with the damn.
Farmers are very powerful. You definitely don't want the farmers to start boycotting you. You know what I mean? And I think what he's doing is protecting his constituents. You know what I mean? He want to be the hero to the local farmers. He probably want to be reelected. And so DeSantos, for all of the negative things that he does do, he throws in some things that as far as conservative viewpoints or things that we do like. And I think the problem with politics is you don't know how to celebrate both. You can be like, bro, the way that you approach history was crazy. The way that he don't want Black history being displayed, I think the man lost his mind, right? But I don't expect much from him in the first place. But then when he did something else that I liked. But then when you start banning lab-grown meats, first of all, you're bringing attention to a problem that most people don't even focus on. Right? And I think that this is sort of behavior that the politicians you do vote for, you want to do as well. But because you're going to vote for them anyway, they don't feel like they need to take a strong stance on certain politics.
Yeah. And like you said, bringing the light on the problem that people, you know what I'm saying, kind of skim through. Florida is ranked number 9 in the beef cattle production. They make like $900 million a year just off of the meat. So now, shit, you know, they're just cutting their whole market down, you know?
I think there's another thing. The governor of New York talking about Black kids don't know what a computer is.
I seen that today.
From the Bronx. That's one of the most egregious statements I heard all year.
Especially a Gen Z kid.
First of all, it's one of the stupidest statements that I heard. We got phones. Our phones are computers.
Exactly.
So it really shows how much she don't know what a computer is, if anything. Our phones.
I don't think she know, like in the Black community, and if she said she try to, you know, sneak this to poor, the tablets raise the kids. First of all,
she has to be so.
She's gonna be technical.
If you got a governor like that, that's so disconnected from understanding youth and so disconnected from understanding Black youth. In her mind, she sees Black youth as these primitive, like cave things that they can barely speak or comprehend. To say that these children don't understand a computer, right? It's just like saying that they don't know what a phone is, because phones are computers now.
Yeah.
Well, so that shit shows you, number one, how completely out of touch she is with the reason she shouldn't be governor, because not only does it show how the lack of understanding Black youth, it's a lack of her understanding computers and technology. So she really just showed her own stupidity. Now, I will say this. We don't have enough understanding of technology. And when I start talking about tech, people get mad at me. But it's like, I spoke on this before. Science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. We need to focus on those. We need STEM development, right? But all we have is art development, right? And this is what we popularize as the most important. And this is why the Kendrick and Drake thing has taken so much attention away, because they have so much real estate in the culture. Arts have so much real estate. Like, think about it. If it's a pie chart, how much influence does science have? Popular science. How much popular engineers, right? Popular technologists, popular mathematics, popular spiritualists. You know what I'm saying? Popular educators, right? That pie chart is going to be very small, maybe like 5%, 1%, 2%, 3%. Then you say art. Now that one, as far as like entertainment, music, right? Movies and that, man, that's going to take like 90%, and the rest are fighting for the rest of that like 10%. So this is why arts is so important. There's nothing that can happen in the scientific world, the technological world, the engineering world, right? That can even matter. And that's in the Black community, but it also in society as a whole, because it's been so dumbed down. There's a report that shows how the growth decade over decade, each generation gets smarter. There's an IQ increase. This is the first time that there's a decrease.
Yeah.
So society, the younger generations, their IQ is measured lower. But, you know, and I can say that that's probably obscure, because I don't know if those tests are even taking in their technological understanding, right? And right, their creativity of the times. But I will say this, we know the attention span has decreased, the lack of focus, right? When we looked at this battle between Drake and Kendrick, there was at first this, why is he trying to sound smart, right? We still have that a lot in the culture, rather. This Hotep trying to be conscious, like that's still made fun of, as if any of those things by definition are negative. So, you know, when we give those other categories, I believe, more popularity and more real estate, then we'll have a good culture. But I got a question for you. Who's the king of the culture?
I don't think it's the king of the culture right now. I think it's open. I think it's open field. I think it's time for somebody to come in and
If you had to say,
curate a new vibe.
who's number one?
See, it's a
Let's say music.
like, but this the thing though. When it comes to music, you know, it's always some. You know what I'm saying? It's like a preference.
Who's number one?
To me, you know, number one, it's Future, Super Future. But
Over Drake?
over Drake for me,
I ain't talking about for you.
Yeah,
Stop
I mean,
personalizing it.
like when it comes,
I'm saying, like, you
I'm
talking
from my
about-
objective standpoint. I give it to Future.
Of
You
the
know why?
culture.
And this is why. When it comes to music, right? And I had this talk with you the other day in the car. And this is what stands out with Future and separate him. They got in-house producers that curate their sound. So when you hear this Future, you know this is a Future. To the where he's not, to people duplicating him now. He got all the clones in the world now, you know?
What about
And we kind of
popular-
lost that now.
So, all right, so you got popular culture as well, right? So I'm talking about like influence, sound, numbers, the whole nine.
I mean, it's still Drake then if you're going to do that. Because he, you
Yeah.
know, it's still
I'm
Drake.
really not talking about personal like preference or none of those. I'm talking about like by numbers and by like
All right, we gonna be about
who
numbers.
really be
That's obvious.
curating.
It's Drake. No, hold on.
So-
it's either Drake or Kanye.
I don't know Kanye numbers. But as far as Kanye is crazily popular. But But let's say Drake and Future, because everybody's big three in it right now, right?
Yeah.
Let's say Drake and Future. So here's the thing, and this is probably something most people don't ever want to talk about. When we say culture, this culture,
Yeah.
we want to look at Drake's culture, right? Because for you to be the king of something, if you got a kingdom, that kingdom is going to be reflective of your rulership.
Yeah.
What the people do, right, in the town square, you feel me, in your cities, the laws that's passed, the music they listen to, the values going to be reflective of your rulership. If a new king comes in, you feel me, it's going to be reflective of his rulership, right? So let's do this thing. You got Drake's kingdom. What does that look like? What is his culture? This is a good way for people to understand influence.
Yeah.
Drake's culture, we enjoying ourselves. We vibing, we turned up. It's entertainment, it's drugs, it's sex, it's allure, right? It's not, we're not really thinking nothing too deep. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Surface level. It's a pacified vibe type of city. You know what I'm saying? It's club. It's like rapper lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Got Future. Future, he's the king of toxic.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
Nobody's having no good relationships if Future is the king of the land.
The streets is gone, man.
Bring her to thou me.
For real.
She's for these streets. That's his culture, right? You know what I'm saying? We on Celine, you know, that's his culture.
What's Kanye culture? Ain't no telling. He's
I'm gonna get to Kanye. Let's go to Kendrick's. Because I think Kendrick culture is more apparent, right? If you think Kendrick is the king of this culture, this is his land, what does that look like? You still got music that you can vibe to. You turned up. It looks black, first of all. First thing go in your head, like, it's gonna be a black culture. It's gonna be family. We gonna have our shit together. It's still gonna be kind of, you feel me? They not like us. We still turned up. We still enjoying ourselves. Is there people smarter? Is there some intelligence? You gotta think about that. Now, let's say Kanye. I don't know Kanye's culture, right?
Yeah,
Kanye's culture.
His culture might change tonight.
Yeah, it's too assimilating. It doesn't give me a direct understanding of like, who would the people be? It looks very diverse.
Yeah.
It looks like, to be honestly, a very accepting culture. Almost anything goes. It looks like polar consciousness over here, but also like polar capitalism and eccentric fashion, right? Mm. It's a very sublimely designed society. You feel me? There's vibe music, but almost everything is accepted. It's like polarization of things existing all at once, right? You know, it's like you got a church over here and a strip club across the street. You feel me? And then a revolution over here, and then just vibes and fashion over this way.
It's kind of like reality.
It's close to, yeah, it's kind of like reality. It's like Drake's, but more polarizing.
Mm.
So, and this is what we get, right? When we say somebody is the king of the culture, and we think about society, we think about the changes that we want to, you know, it's not the thing that we're not fighting for. It's not that he's not the king of the culture. Mm. It's saying that, should he be? Who would be a good steward? Who should be the king? How do we then relegate that, right? Or is the problem that he is the king of the culture? Because that is Kendrick's take, right? And this is what a lot of people have felt when different people rise to the top, that, yeah, you at the top, but we don't want you to be. You know what I mean? It's like a villain that, it's like you can be the greatest fighter, but if you a villain and you people don't like you, you great, but we don't want you to be that guy. We want a Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
The best hero that we've ever had, right? As far as like a sports hero has always been Muhammad Ali. And he has been the standard. And when we go to hip hop, who is the standard? We go to Tupac. And then another standard would be Nas. You know what I'm saying? Like those are like standards. And then another standard was Nipsey.
Then it'd be Jay.
Right? But I'm saying like black cultural figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jay always been like a godfather for sure. Right? But people looked at like Tupac as Messiah. I'm talking about that messianic energy.
Yeah.
That Tupac, that Nas, that Nipsey, those are messianic energies to where we'd be like, these are good stewards of our culture. You feel me? So right now it's kind of like you got Drake and who's his first lady? Sexy Red. So there has to be now, and I bring up this point, because then you got the conscious community, you got the brothers, you got the politics, you got all these people, you got people that be like, we need to do better, we need to do this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, well, how do we get there? Because y'all say y'all act like the beef and everything is ignorant, but do we get there through peace? How do we change the culture in hip hop's culture without there being a war?
Yeah.
War changes things. It leaves open space for renewal and a new time to come after that. And a new period
why I
of time.
say it's time for it's for the opening now.
Exactly. So that's where it's like that helps my culture. You know what I'm saying? Like high level conversations, our high level world, and what we're doing. Like, yeah, this helps my culture. It benefits.
Yeah.
Right? We need more of that. But if we don't decide to fight for what our culture is, but we assimilate, and we assimilate why? Because we want to get along. We want to have access. So black people assimilate to the culture, but the culture is already anti-culture. It's deaf culture, it's drug culture, right? It's anti-family culture, right? It's anti-morals, anti-value, right? It's spend money on anything. It's not economics, right? None of those things. Like hip hop as a landscape from an industry is anti-culture. So what we have, a lot of times we have kings that are of an anti-culture, not kings that are pro-culture. Pro-culture, yeah, we going back to like, imagine what a black utopia is in your mind.
Yeah.
Right? We got the cross colors on, we turned up.
Basically we going back to the core of hip hop, how it started.
We going
it was all about,
marches, but what that looks like in modern day.
Yeah.
And last but not least on this, Steve, is that there's a false narrative that like black culture is like violent inherently, right? And like I said, hip hop music it's a sport. It's like a cultural sport.
The industry made it violent.
It's not a genre. So like it's always gonna be competition because it's a sport. It's something that people play. It's not like any other genre of music that have existed. It's like our cultural Olympics. You know what I'm saying? We have these subcultures inside of it. And part of it is like battles. Part of it is like disses. Part of it is like hits. Part of it is how you dress. Part of it is how you move. Part of it is how you contribute to society. You got to have certain things that's impactful to be like an all-around athlete in this sport, right? And so it's kind of like the argument between LeBron and like and Jordan, right? Or Kobe. People be like, he a GOAT, but he's missing this. He ain't got this ring, or he ain't get this thing. So this is how we look at these athletes. I mean, I look at these sports artists. I like that, sports artists, right? So it's like we want an all around, right? In order for us to goat you. You feel me? Like that's why Eminem can't be the GOAT, because he's not black. That's a prerequisite. You got to take it or leave it, right? That's a prerequisite. No matter how good you become, you're not black. Right. And this is
we can't crown you for the culture.
This is our this our thing. This is mafia rules. Every culture.
So you give it up for adoption? Basically, that's what they said.
That would no.
That's like, you know what I'm saying, having a black baby and giving it up for adoption.
Yeah, that's cultural respect. Yeah. Like there's certain things that I can't go into Italian culture and be the king of something they created. And how could I be mad? No matter how good I am at that thing, I can't be mad.
He the king of pizza.
You know what I'm saying? That's disrespectful to the... No, but so I was driving home this point.
Yeah.
Boeing has been at the center of these conspiracies because everybody that's a whistleblower, right? That's like a corporate snitch, right? People that go and take information and...
I thought he was telling me as like.
No, I'm telling to the audience. They not snitch this, but you know what I mean. But that's what a whistleblower is. So they've been telling on this company because there's been issues with their planes and regulatory issues. And now 2 of the whistleblowers in like this year have been found dead. Right? And I was explaining like, y'all try to make it seem like it's just black culture that's inherently violent. Corporate culture is way more violent. We just don't even put it like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, at the end of the day, corporate culture, right? It's normal in business. There's all sort of like corporate espionage. There's goddamn killings. There's all sort of things that happen, but they never get painted with the brand of violent when we know inherently it is. But hip hop gets painted with this brush of violence on everything that they do, right? So how did you then not go look at Boeing, who just had 2 people that died? That's like somebody coming out against a rapper and being like, bro, his camp, they tripping, and then 2 of his mans die. All of a sudden, you gonna be thinking, bro, killed him. And then you gonna paint the brush like they murderers over there. But it happens in corporate. No, but we don't even we don't even look at who's on the board. We don't blast them out. We don't look at who's the CEO, none of that. And so we really got to stop painting ourselves as like these violent animals that just stop. It's just the worst. No, we live in America. America is violent. Mm-hmm. How many people die every year and for what reasons? You know what I mean? This is capitalism. Capitalism is a sport that involves violence. You dig? So as long as there's an industry that's connected to money, there will always be violence. But when we have an artistry that's connected to liberation, we have to continue to fight that war till we get our peace. And you can't have no peace until there's a liberation. So when people call for peace, don't call for peace, call for liberation. I understand why most people at this time, like they feel it personal. They feel like this is a personal attack on them, that Drake is not up there, because when the winds of culture change, you know what I mean? The people that go against it, man, they both don't sell no more. You feel me? The shit that they sell don't sell no more. You know, and a lot of people have been able to get away with being fake, and selling things to our culture that don't mean anything. You feel me? And I can't wait till it's just about the real. You feel me? And that's the standard. And what's happening is they know that it's going to dry up for them. You know what I'm saying? When the people start examining them and be like, bro, but you ain't real. If Drake is the standard, everybody's real. If Drake is the standard, everybody's real. A lot of these guys just get to be, right?
Nah, I don't think, I never looked at Drake like, oh, I believe this nigga. I just know he's a good rapper and he know how to put the melodies together.
And that's enough. But
that's enough. But I don't think nobody ever looked at him like, he be talking, he get on this Drake bully shit sometime, but we never like believe he doing none of that.
But it don't matter.
The culture don't believe
he still gets the reward as if he did.
Yeah.
So realness, right? It has now, the value of being real decreases when somebody can do the same thing and be fake and still be accepted for it.
On that note,
be free.
I appreciate y'all for tuning into this episode of the Man to Man podcast. You know, every week we're going to try to do something different, just curate a conversation that needs to be had. I'm going to just be throwing shit out there just to get your opinion on it, you know? Just because, like I said, like these conversations that we really be having, like we'll get real deep into it behind the scenes, but sometimes we got to bring it in front of the camera because ain't nobody else doing it, you know? Yeah, I appreciate you again.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday. It's tour season, man. We gonna turn up.
Welcome to the Man